Hello and welcome to TechyChats, the space to listen and learn from our inspiring guests in tech. Today, I am joined by Yssine Matola. Welcome, Yssine.
Thanks for having me.
Yssine is the co-founder of Thriving Tribes, a London-based management consultancy company providing HR and people solutions to help businesses and teams grow. So, Yssine, I discovered that you're known for your optimism and your motivation. So please would you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yes, sounds good. So I've been in various HR and people roles over the last 10 years. And a few years back, we decided with a friend of mine, Aurelie, who's also my co-founder, to launch Thriving Tribes. And what we do is that we support startups and growing businesses, mainly in the UK and France, by crafting scalable HR and people experiences, so they're always ready for the next steps. So, this usually covers talent acquisition, employee experience, HR compliance, team performance, culture, all the usual topics.
Awesome. Okay, so you've been in the HR space for 10 years now, or over 10 years, and the tech industry moves really quick, potentially quicker than other industries. Does developing people in the tech industry differ from other industries?
Yes. So as you said, tech moves so quickly, and it's also an industry, especially in some of the hot places such as London, Paris, Berlin, where there are so many exciting tech companies and tech startups. It's also places where you have to be very attractive and to be able to retain talent, because there are a lot of companies that want all those tech top talents. So there's definitely a big focus on attraction and retention in the tech industry, I'd say quite more than in other more standard industries.
Okay, cool. So I was watching one of your interviews, I think it was about a year ago, and you mentioned if there's a change in the company's culture to create a more safe environment, and people don't feel safe to speak up currently, where does anonymous feedback fit in, and what are your general thoughts about anonymous feedback?
So, there's always this thing that as a founder, as a leader, you would want your teams, anyone who's part of the adventure, to be able to tell things as they are and to speak up if they see something they don't agree with, or if they think that something could be done better. So, you always kind of try to want to encourage informal discussions and just having spaces where people can express themselves and raise questions and interrogations and whatever. But there is still this thing that happens when sometimes people don't feel comfortable like raising topics, and they don't feel comfortable like speaking up, and sometimes they have issues with like their direct managers or people that work with every day. So I think it's still great for companies to be able to have different ways for people to express themselves, and obviously the usual like informal and like all those discussions and places for people to talk to. But it's also great to have some other ways for people to be able to raise serious topics if they don't want to be identified.
Okay, cool. What is your thoughts on hiring for culture fit and hiring for values fit? Is there any difference? What's your opinion on that?
So there have been a lot of very interesting discussions and debates lately about culture fit and values fit. So the thing with culture fit is that it's often been seen as something that was hindering diversity and inclusion. Because what happens most of the time when people say that they're gonna hire for culture fit, but they haven't had like support or training or coaching in how to recruit well and how to build an inclusive team. What happens is that people are just gonna hire people they get along with, that think like them, look like them, kind of the people they would just hang out with. And obviously that's not something that's great for company diversity. So that's kind of the issue that has happened with culture fit. But I think that, there's definitely something around culture and making sure that whoever you bring into the company shares things with you. But it doesn't have to be, like the way they are and their background and where they're coming from, and it's always really, really interesting to have people coming from very different backgrounds with different ways of thinking and doing things, but it's all about making sure that it's going to fit in with what you're trying to do, what's important to you, and you've mentioned value. So yeah, like some companies call them values, some companies call them internal drivers. There's a lot of different ways to talk about it, but there's definitely a point around, what's important and, making sure that everyone you bring into your company is gonna work with the way, you want to go about, going and accomplishing your vision and whatever you're trying to achieve with your company.
Awesome, thank you. So coming back to you, how did you get into where you are? So how did you get into HR, and a bit about your journey?
Yes. So as I'm sure you've got from my accent, I'm French. So I've studied HR, so like regular school curriculum. So in France, we have apprenticeship in a way that's a little bit different than the way we do it here in the UK. So like already 10 years ago in France, you had apprenticeship programs, or like top business schools, and you can do your master's in any kind of subject in apprenticeship and have this experience in a company at the same time. So that's what I did. Just did all of my studies in apprenticeship up to my HR degree. And yeah, so always worked in HR, but I've worked in various industries. So I've started in energy, then moved on to aeronautics. So I spent about kind of like 5 years in these two industries. And that's after that I moved into tech. But the thing is that there are still, a lot of things that are similar because, it's still, high skill industries and like this focus on technical excellence, engineering world. So let's say that there were a lot of transferable competencies and transferable ways of working as well with regards to the industries I was working in before. But the good thing with HR is that that's one of those roles where you can just, take whatever you've learned and just apply it to a very different industry. So like even since I've joined tech, I've worked for cybersecurity, fintech, software, artificial intelligence company, and like currently another very different company, which is more like in the live experience, music, tech world. So that's the good thing with HR, those kind of people roles, that you can really move in between companies. And tech, it's a huge industry. There's everything from fintech, health tech, everything, education. You can find any type of companies, and HR people roles, they're part of these roles that you can just do everywhere, basically.
So would you say there's any differences in terms of working in HR within a tech industry? So is anything that jumps out at you that you need to do differently within tech?
Yes, there are different. There are definitely things that are different, and things that are very much tech industry. But then there are also things that are very much startups, and it's going to be everything around talent acquisition. We've discussed already. But when you're looking for scarce talent and very rare, very niche, very sought after talent, it's always going to be a different approach than when you have like plenty of candidates to choose from, and they're gonna kind of fight to come work for you, like it's been the case in some industries back in the days. So there's definitely something around it then, and that's very much with startups. There's this big focus around company culture, and people want to make sure, especially if they have the choice, right? They want to make sure that they're making the best choice and that they're gonna come into a place where they're gonna be able grow and to learn, and just to develop, to be alongside brilliant people, and just work on some exciting products and services. And when you have the choice, that's what you want. So companies in the tech space and startups especially, they really have to differentiate themselves in order to attract the best talents, and more than attracting them, to keep them.
Okay. Do you need any technical knowledge and or awareness when working in a HR role within the tech industry?
So that's an interesting one. I'd say that to be successful in an HR role, but that's in any type of companies, any type of industries, you need to have this business acumen, and you need, to understand the business that you're supporting, and to make sure that whatever recommendations you're making and the discussions that you're having, you understand what the company is trying to achieve and what's the day-to-day of the people you're working with. So definitely, I think there's a level of business acumen that you need, but I still think that it's an advantage to at least be interested in whatever product or services the company you're going to be supporting is doing. And like if I look at my personal experience, I love tech, so I always love to learn about whatever's trending and this new thing that's gonna be coming up. So when I was in the cybersecurity industry, or when I was in the fintech industry, I was always really interested in understanding what's the product and what we're doing and how we're going about it. But it's not something that I needed to do my role. I mean, in terms of the HR, the people activities I'm doing every day, I don't need to be technical, but it's definitely a plus to be interested and, just to want to learn about the business and about what people are doing.
Brilliant, thank you. Question, what is your favorite part of your role?
I'd say my favorite part of the role is that when you're in a people role, you have exposure to all the areas of the company, and you're really able to see where we're going in terms of vision, in terms of strategy, and just trying to support the leaders the best way possible. Whether it's going to be how to build the team, or how to build the organization in a way that when the company keeps growing, that's still going to work, and that's whatever processes or programs you're putting in place, they're going to be scalable. So yeah, I think it's exciting, just being so close to everything that's happening, and being able to have this vision, that's not siloed, because you see all the different areas of the business and you see everything that's going on. So that's, yeah, I'm like really passionate about it.
That does sound good. What would you say your biggest challenges are of your role?
So that's the thing. There are so many of them. So there are a lot of kind of topics that are currently very much in the mind of people, HR professionals, and just, company founders and leaders as a whole. A lot of discussion around the future of work and, what all of this is gonna look like in terms of, are we gonna go back to the office? Are we gonna work fully remotely? Is it gonna be some sort of hybrid model? And how do you work on creating, maintaining engagement, social connections in between people? So there's definitely a big topic around that. Then you always have your usual kind of compliance and regulatory topics that you have to deal with, especially if you're hiring across different countries, for example, because each country, and sometimes even like inside a country, depending on the region, they will have different employment laws and regulations. And there are always new ones coming up that you have to kind of be up to speed with. So that's another one. And then, yeah, like I'd say, back to kind of talent acquisition as well, and making sure that you're always able to attract and develop your talent. So, you know, whatever challenge your company is going to be facing in 5 years' time, that the people that you have today, and, you know, they have valuable skills and experience and knowledge of your company, that, you know, their skills are still going to be relevant. And if not, that you'll be able to either help them learn and change, or just, you know, able to support them when they move on to the next step in their career, even if it's not within your company.
Great, thank you. Do you have any tips for personal development?
Yes, so that's something that I often recommend, is that I tell people to be in charge, to really own their personal development. So, you know, never be waiting on your manager or your company or your mentor to drive these topics, because we're talking about you, right? It's your development. So you have to know what you want to do, where you want to go, the skills you want to develop, the things you want to learn about, the things you want exposure to. And then there are resources and there are people who can help you, but you have to be in charge and you have to drive this. So usually, you know, I really recommend for people to kind of keep track somewhere of, you know, alongside their career, just, you know, like a journal of what they want to learn about and what are their top skills and what are the things that they're interested in, and, you know, what they would like to learn and where they would like to take their career. And then there are a lot of little tools and like matrices that you can use to help you with that. And obviously a lot of great people, I'm sure, around you to support you, but it needs to start with you, and that's something that you need to own.
That's a brilliant tip. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, one last question then. Have you got anything to promote? What's coming up?
Yes, so with Thriving Tribes, we are working with companies, with tech startups, mainly founders and CEOs and leaders, to support them with everything HR and people. So we still do have some availability to take on new clients. And, you know, I'm talking early stage, so it's not people who are going to need a full-time HR person or people person, but, you know, just having someone who's here to help them with the basics, and, you know, having like a good start and good foundations for when they're ready to grow. So that's something that we offer. That's something that we do with some companies currently. And then we also have like a fun lockdown project that we've been working on. It's called Not So Bad People. And it's a stationery and posters shop for HRs and everyone really who's driving company culture. So those are fun ones. So, you know, for people who are gonna, you know, starting to come back to the office, there are some cool stuff to look at.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you. Okay, where can we find you online? Are you on Twitter, LinkedIn? If people want to follow your journey, where can we find you?
Yes, mainly LinkedIn, both my personal profile and the company page, and I'm also on Twitter. But yeah, I'd say I'm more active on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much for being on this blog, Yssine. It's been absolutely brilliant. I love hearing about your story and about what you do in Thriving Tribes. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. And, you know, again, if anyone wants advice or you know, just to chat things through in terms of career or changing careers and getting into tech and everything, you know, HR and people, always happy to do it, and always happy to be here for that.
Brilliant. Thank you.